Our dog Winston had never attacked anyone in his entire 10 years of life. He was the type of dog who would wag his tail and approach even strangers with friendly enthusiasm. But when Cassandra, the perfect babysitter who seemed like a dream come true, started working for us, Winston transformed into a ferocious beast we didn't recognize anymore. What we discovered through those hidden cameras that cursed night, I swear that even now, months later, I still have trouble believing it. Stay until the end, because the moment we saw those recordings made us realize we were handing our innocent children over to a monster disguised as an angel. I'm Jennifer, and this is the most terrifying story I've ever lived through. How our family dog literally saved our children's lives by exposing a person who was psychologically torturing them every single day, right in front of our blind eyes. In this video, I'll tell you exactly what Cassandra was doing to our children when she thought she was completely alone with them, how Winston risked his own life every day for 3 weeks to protect them from her cruelty, and the chilling moment when we finally understood the truth through those recordings that still give me nightmares today. But what you'll see at the end of this video, the moment when Winston confronts Cassandra for the last time, will make you understand why pets are the silent guardians of our families. But first, you need to know exactly how this nightmare began and why we were so incredibly blind to the signs. If you also have pets and want to know how to recognize danger signals, give this video a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss stories that could save your family. My husband Michael and I live in Chicago, both with jobs that consume us completely. I'm a marketing director at a pharmaceutical multinational, and he's a software engineer at a rapidly growing startup. With Brooklyn, 8 years old, and Tyler, 6, we desperately needed a reliable babysitter for our work evenings and weekends when we had to travel for clients. The search had become a real nightmare. For months, we had interviewed dozens of candidates. Some didn't show up to appointments. Others arrived late with absurd excuses. One girl arrived smelling like cigarettes and kept looking at her phone while the children were talking to her. Another asked how much we earned and made strange questions about our jewelry. We were almost ready to give up when Cassandra arrived. 27 years old, master's degree in child psychology from Northwestern University, 7 years of experience with affluent families. Her resume was perfect. First aid certifications, pedagogy courses, references that described her as an angel sent from heaven. When we first met her in our living room, she seemed too good to be true. And indeed, what we discovered later made us understand that when something seems too perfect, it probably hides something horrible. Cassandra presented herself, dressed elegantly but casually, cream cashmere sweater, perfectly pressed dark jeans. She spoke with a melodious voice that literally hypnotized you. When she interacted with Brooklyn and Tyler, her eyes lit up with what seemed like authentic joy. "Working with children is my greatest passion," she told us, looking straight into our eyes. "Every child is unique and deserves respect, patience, and unconditional love. My philosophy is to be a positive presence that helps them grow and discover their potential." Her words were exactly what we wanted to hear. Too perfect, too studied, but we were so desperate that we ignored what I now understand was the first warning sign. But there was something strange from the very first moment. Winston, our 6-year-old golden retriever who usually runs to greet all visitors with his tail wagging and his whole body wiggling with excitement, completely changed his behavior the moment Cassandra crossed our threshold. We found him hiding in the corner of the living room, pressed against the wall, in a place where he never went. His ears were flattened back against his head, his tail tucked between his legs. He looked terrified. "That's strange," I said to Michael that evening. "Winston loves everyone. Remember when the plumber came last week? He wouldn't leave his side for an hour." We didn't know yet that Winston was already perceiving the evil hiding behind that perfect smile. What happened during the first week should have made us run away immediately. Tell me in the comments, has your pet ever reacted strangely to someone? Your stories could help other parents. The first official evening with Cassandra seemed like something out of a perfect movie. We went to dinner at our favorite restaurant to celebrate an important contract that Michael had closed. When we returned around 11, we found a picture-perfect scene. Cassandra was on the couch, reading a child psychology book, with a steaming cup of tea on the coffee table. The house was immaculate, every dish washed and put away, toys organized perfectly, even the couch cushions arranged with military precision. "The children were absolutely wonderful," she reported, standing up with a radiant smile. Brooklyn finished all her homework. Math, English, and even that difficult essay about her school trip. I helped her review multiplication tables until she felt confident. Tyler ate all his dinner without complaining, even the vegetables he usually refuses. We built a fantastic castle with Legos, and he fell asleep peacefully after 3 bedtime stories. But while Cassandra was gathering her things, I noticed Winston. He was crouched in the shadow under the stairs, his body rigid and trembling. His brown eyes were fixed on Cassandra with an intensity I had never seen in him. When she approached the door, Winston began to emit a sound that made my blood freeze. It wasn't his normal bark. It was a low, threatening growl that seemed to come from deep in his chest. "I'm so sorry," I said to Cassandra, feeling my cheeks flush. "I don't know what's gotten into him. Winston is normally the friendliest dog in the world." Cassandra tilted her head and laughed with what seemed like infinite understanding. "Don't worry about it at all, Jennifer. I studied animal behavior during my university training. Dogs sometimes react this way when their territory is invaded by new people. It's completely normal. He'll just need time to get used to it." Her explanation sounded so professional, so logical. How could we know she was already starting to manipulate us? What happened during the second week showed us that Winston wasn't reacting randomly. He was desperately trying to warn us of a danger we couldn't see. During the second week, Winston's behavior worsened dramatically. He was no longer just hiding. He had started an all-out war against Cassandra. Tuesday evening, while we were preparing for an important corporate event, Winston did something I'll never forget. He positioned himself in front of the front door like a guard dog and began to howl. Not bark, howl like a wolf, with a heartbreaking sound that seemed to come from the depths of his soul. When Cassandra rang the doorbell, Winston literally exploded. He launched himself at her with a ferocity that shocked me. He barked aggressively, showed his teeth, and tried to bite her legs, something he had never done to anyone in his entire life. Cassandra stumbled backward, momentarily losing her balance, and for a fraction of a second, no more than a heartbeat, I saw her mask fall completely. Her face contorted into an expression of pure disgust and cold rage. Her eyes narrowed with a hatred that gave me goosebumps. For a moment, I saw the real monster hiding behind that perfect smile. But it lasted less than a second. Immediately after, she laughed nervously, shaking her head. "Wow, he's really agitated today, isn't he? Poor little guy. He must be very stressed by the changes." That night, when we returned, we found something that should have made us call the police immediately. But we, blinded by our trust and our need to believe everything was fine, found rational excuses for what was clearly a cry for help. If this story is affecting you, give it a like to make it visible to as many parents as possible. It could save a family. Brooklyn, our tireless chatterbox who normally overwhelmed us with stories about her day, had become strangely silent. When we came home from work, instead of running to us with her usual enthusiasm, she would sit on the couch, almost motionless. "How did it go with Cassandra today?" I would ask her every evening, and she would always answer exactly the same thing, with a flat, mechanical voice. "She was good, Mum. She taught me important things about how to be a better girl." But when I tried to ask more specific questions, what kind of things she taught her, what they talked about, what games they played, Brooklyn would become vague and change the subject. Her eyes, normally bright with life and curiosity, seemed dull. Tyler was worse. Our little sunshine, who filled the house with laughter, had started having terrible nightmares that woke him up screaming in the middle of the night. "What did you dream about, honey?" I would ask, running to his room, finding him sitting on the bed with his face streaked with tears and his body trembling uncontrollably. "I don't remember, Mom," he would always whisper, but his eyes contained a fear that no 6-year-old should ever feel. During the day, Tyler had become nervous and anxious. He would startle at normal sounds: the doorbell, the washing machine, even when someone closed a door. He had started wetting the bed again, something that hadn't happened since he was 4. But the most disturbing sign was yet to come. What we found that evening when we returned from the corporate event made us understand that something terrible was happening in our house. Something that Winston had desperately tried to tell us for weeks. When we entered the house that night, the silence was deafening. Normally the children would run to us even if they were already in pajamas, excited to tell us about their evening. But that time, nothing. "Brooklyn? Tyler?" I called, taking off my shoes in the entrance. Silence. I found Brooklyn in her room, sitting on the edge of the bed like a marble statue. She was completely motionless, staring into space. Her face, normally expressive and lively, was an empty mask. "Hi, sweetheart," I said gently, sitting next to her. "How was the evening?" Brooklyn didn't move a muscle. Then, with a voice so low, I had to lean down to hear it, she whispered, "It was fine, Mom. Nothing particular happened." Cassandra explained to me that good girls never complain, and don't tell stories to adults. "What kind of stories, Brooklyn?" "Made-up stories about grown-ups. Cassandra says that if I tell lies about her, no one will ever believe me again, and everyone will think I'm a bad girl who can't tell reality from fantasy." The way she pronounced those words, mechanically, as if she had repeated them 100 times in her head, made me nauseous. I looked for Tyler and found him locked in the bathroom. He had pushed the desk chair against the door to barricade himself inside. "Tyler, open the door, honey. It's Mom." Silence. "Tyler, please. You're not in trouble. I promise." After 10 minutes of pleading, he finally opened. I found him huddled behind the shower curtain, still dressed, clutching his favorite stuffed animal to his chest. And Winston. Our poor, brave. Winston had a deep gash on his side that was still bleeding. When he tried to walk, he limped, visibly. His eyes, normally bright and alert, were dull and traumatized. That night, after medicating Winston and finally getting the children to sleep in our bed, I made the most important decision of my life. A decision that Michael thought was paranoid, but which turned out to be the only thing that saved our children's mental health. "Something terrible is happening in this house," I told Michael, looking him straight in the eyes. "Winston isn't going crazy. He's trying to protect us from something we can't see." Michael, always logical and rational, shook his head. "Jennifer, you're overreacting. Cassandra has been fantastic. Look how she keeps the house clean, how she helps the children with homework. Maybe Winston just needs more time, or maybe we should take him to the vet." "No, Michael. Animals have instincts we've lost. They know how to recognize danger, evil, bad intentions. Winston is risking his life every day to tell us something important. Subscribe to the channel if you want to know how this incredible story ended. You won't regret it." The next day, while Michael was at the office, I called my brother-in-law, Robert, who has a security systems company. "Robert, I need your help. I want to install hidden cameras throughout the house." "Jennifer, are you sure? That seems a bit extreme." "I have a terrible feeling. Please, trust me."